How's it going? I'm Ryan. Today I'm going to go over the trades I took on NQ. These trades are taken with two Apex 50K challenge accounts. Not my first time technically, because last Friday I first tried it, but first day really trading, group trading with Tradeovate, the copy trader on Tradeovate. So I have a group made with just two accounts. This one's old canceled account. I'm not sure why it's still showing up. Um, but yeah, group trading two 50K accounts, and we made a little over 600 on the day. So we'll go over the trades that we took, still using the volume profile, but looking for bigger moves. So before I was using brackets where I had a stop loss at 15 points, take profit at 30 and 40. Now I am sizing to 5 contracts each account. That's why this says 10. It's because it's 10 split between two accounts, so that's 5 each. I'm trading 5 contracts, and I am allowing a bit more risk than 15 points. 15 points is a little hard in these market conditions where we're swinging hundreds of points. So allowing myself a bit more risk, but also shooting for bigger wins as well. So it will come with bigger wins, it will come with bigger losses, but the strategies remain pretty much the same. The only update is that I'm really paying attention to high volume nodes, and a little less to like specific value area high and low, but more so these volume nodes that accompany these areas. So I'll go over the first trade that I took today. It was my best trade, even though it was stopped out very prematurely. That trade idea I liked the most. I had some other trades in here that were pretty solid. Took a lot of trades today because my trade copier was acting up, and was really just trying to figure out if it was on my end or if it was on Tradeovate's end. So I'll go over those trades in just a second. First of all, we're looking at the market taking an absolute dump. What's new, right? We've just been selling off lately, and today is no less. So we continue to sell off, and that's something that we're just, I guess that's the new thing now. We just dump until otherwise proven different. But let's get into it. So we're in a downtrend. We're looking for opportunities to the downside. I'm trying to trade with the trend. Basically, I pull up like an hour chart, 4-hour chart. We look at the overall general trend, kind of general market structure. Are we breaking new lows? Are we setting lower highs? If so, I'm going to look for opportunities to the downside, because that's trading in favor of the overall, majority of the move that's occurring. So right out of the gate, what am I watching? Well, we have last Friday we dumped and we recovered, and then we gapped down into the overnight session, over the weekend session, I should say. Kind of chopped around, and then started to open up lower towards today's open. Now, we weren't quite at Friday's low, but we were close to it. So right out of the gate, we drop lower. And then we push up, and I take my first trade here. So I took a short here. It was a little premature. I probably should have waited for this 5-minute candle to enter, and then I would have gotten actually a better entry, just entering on the following candle. But the idea here is that we're in a downtrend. We're looking at areas that would be potential areas of rejection. And in doing so, what I'm looking at, is this high volume node here. So had I waited for that value area low to be tested, or waited for Friday's value area low to be tested, it wouldn't have happened. But what we did get is we have this concentration of volume, and we can see, if I zoom in, we can see that we rejected once, popped around in here, tried to push higher, rejected twice, and then when the market opened, we started to sell off. We still sold off from 76 or so, came down 86, about 90 points on that candle, maybe closer to 100 if I look at this top wick. Yep, a little over 100 points from top to bottom. So what does that tell us? We're in a downtrend. We see the reaction coming out of this high volume area. We know that there's selling occurring in here. So essentially, I'm looking at this volume node to act as a potential entry, and I'm trying not to front run it. I'm trying to react to price action once it gets in this area, right? So we see price come back up, we see declining volume, we see price push up, get pushed back down. If I look at a 1 minute chart, I'm not sure that we'll be able to see. Yeah, so here you go. On a 1 minute chart, we see that price action start to look weak as well, right? We hit this high volume node and we can kind of see the reaction, right? Price starts to move higher, hits it, and we see kind of a shift from these nice green candles to these kind of weaker candles, some red sprinkled in there, higher wicks, etc. I entered short and I targeted low of day. My stop loss was up here above this high volume node if we broke to the upside of that. So I had about a 60-point risk, and I had about 80 or so points of profit target. Now, once we started to move down pretty well, I was up about 50 points at this candle. From my entry, I was up about 50 points, and I raised, or dropped, I guess I should say, I dropped my stop loss a little into profit, and I just put it above this wick. I was expecting us to flush that low a day, and I was just doing this to protect any sort of bounce in case we did, right? This was just risk prevention. However, we did bounce and we stopped me out for a small gain of $135, and then we came down and hit that target of low of day. So lesson here, I moved my stop prematurely and got stopped out just before the move happened. Another good entry would have been on these candles here. After we showed a rejection, came up and retested, this would have been another good entry. So maybe after getting stopped out, maybe I should have re-entered, but I did not. But that was my first trade of the day, and one that was rooted in the most logic, and I was actually planning on that. So that's how I'm using these high volume nodes as targets and risk as well. So I'm looking at price reacting to those. I'm using the upside if we're going short as a stop limit, and the downside if we're going long as a stop limit as well. Now in here, some of this was just nonsense. Like I said, I think it might have been my internet connection, but when I was trying to place trades, it was not showing up on my chart for like a minute or two after I placed it. So I'd place a trade and nothing would happen, and then it would pop up. And it was really, I was unsure of what was going on. So I kind of placed too many trades in here because I was placing trades and then they wouldn't show up, and then I'd get stopped out, and then I'd place another trade and then it would hit my limit and I wouldn't know until like a minute later. It was really, really weird. And I took one trade or two trades this afternoon and it didn't happen. So it seems like things are good to go. I think it might have been my internet. Anyways, I tried to take a long in here. Basically was just looking at, give me 1 minute and I'll be right back. All right, we're back. I had a quick phone call I had to answer there. But what I was looking at is that we had dropped lower, and then we were holding this level for about 20 minutes or so, in which case I entered long. Got stopped out, I think, at break even. I entered long, didn't love the trade because I didn't really have a defined risk. These trades were the worst ones I took today, and this is where my loss came from that I suffered. So I took about a $400 loss, and the reason was I was just trying to long against the trend, and I didn't really have a reason. So this was just dumb trading. I'm not going to try to go into it super much, but it is what it is. I took some longs in there, and like I said, this is also kind of when I was trying to figure out what was going on with my trade evade, because my group trading like just seemed to be lagging. But I entered long and I was up quite a bit. I think I was up like 50 points or something in here. Yeah, from 60. I was up about 60 points, 50 points. And I was targeting these highs, or this wick high, which would have been about 80 points. And yeah, just slid my stop loss into break even and took a couple break even trades. And then I tried to re-enter again and took a loss, at which point I just put my loss, or my stop loss, 40 points kind of below these lows, and it got hit. So that was nonsense. That was kind of bleh, and not very great. I didn't have a great reason to take that, other than the fact that we were just kind of holding here for 20 minutes or so. and I thought that with the aggressive drop, perhaps we'd get a move up. But like I said, that was not rooted in logic. Here I took long, and this was actually pretty decent win. Same thing though, I kept getting stopped out at break even. As I work on looking for bigger wins, I have to accept the risk that I'm putting on. And that's something that was a common occurrence today, is that I would have appropriate risk for the trade that I was taking, looking for 60, 70, 80 points of profit and risking, 40, 50 points. But I would slide my stop loss to break even too soon. So I entered here, moved up my stop loss. Once we started to move up, got stopped out. But then I re-entered and got a nice win. So I entered double position, so I had 10 contracts, took some off at about 15 points, got the other a little over 50. So entered in here and rode this move up. That was a pretty decent win. And then in the afternoon, I've taken 2 trades, and these are also kind of based on these volume nodes, but based on today's volume nodes. So this, I wouldn't do this during the day because it's still pretty early and that volume's still developing. But essentially what we had, and this is kind of looking a little different than what it was when I took the trade, but we had this high volume node right here. If I extend this, we got a little short-lived bounce, and we got a lot of volume, but once we pushed up and tested this volume node, we closed low, and then we can look at the point of control. Point of control was above where we closed, or kind of right at where we closed. We started to test it again, and I entered short. Now I entered short, and my target was low of day. So let's pull this up on the 1 minute. I entered on this candle, target was low of day, and I got stopped out of break even again. And what did I do? I put my stop just above here, so I had not too bad of a risk. I had about 30 points of risk, and I was targeting low day was 96. Here we are, about 70 points, so about a 2 to 1, 2.5 to 1 ratio. But once again, once we started moving down, we got this big drop, and then I moved my stop loss to break even and got stopped out for break even. But I re-entered and then caught a decent move here. But had I just kept my stop where it was and my take profit where it was, you can see what would have happened, right? We got some little bounces, but eventually we flushed and we hit that. So I just need to stick to my plan. I think it's something that I'll need to learn. And then I took a single contract here. I tried a short after we came up and we tested kind of the same zone. I tried a short, and then my stop was this gap in volume here, looking that if we broke through these high volume nodes, that would kind of invalidate my trade, only to see us come up and test this high volume node right here and then get the rejection that I was looking for. So we did get that rejection off this volume node right here. I draw that. So I thought that coming up and testing this same kind of area and getting that reaction looked good to me. Same thing, high volume, good rejection. But then we pumped and stopped me out. So that was a single contract. That was a $100 loss. I was up over a little over 700 on the day before I took that, but that's the end of it. I definitely overtraded today, but we'll try to correct that. Really what I should have done, just followed the plan on that very first trade and it would have worked out. Would have had a nice win on the day and been done in the first 20, 30 minutes. So we're learning, but a lot of this today is kind of getting used to the group trading on Trade-of-8. Since I can't use my ATM brackets, I've been kind of relying on those, but getting used to not using those, and also the increased volatility that we've been seeing in this market. So that's a lot. But for full transparency, last Friday, like I said, I hit my daily loss limit on my PA, and then I was trying to group trade and I blew my PA. So I don't have that anymore. I was at one point 2 weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago, I was $60 away from getting a payout, and it's gone. So that was a rough pill to swallow. Yeah, not a great situation there. Certainly kind of affected me mentally coming into last week and this week. But you can give up or you can keep going, and we're gonna keep going. So we have got two 50K accounts. Like I said, we're up $600 on the day. We're looking to take, we're willing to accept a bit more risk, but also looking for bigger moves. So I was taking about 30, 40 points of profit, and then I was taking, 20 or so points, 20, 25 points of risk. And that just doesn't really, unless you have an absolute beautiful, perfectly timed entry in these market conditions, that doesn't really work. So I figure while things are the way they are, we're going to have to accept a bit more risk, but we're also shooting for bigger wins. So expect some bigger days on the up and the downside. We're going to keep our risk management, so we're not going to try to blow this. I'm not looking for to pass this account in one trade, but I am looking for those 50, 60, 70, 80 point moves. That's the goal. If I'm risking 40 points, I want to see 60 to 80 points of profit. So that's where we're at. That's the update, and yeah, look to pass these hopefully before long, get these funded, and then see if we can't get that elusive payout. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. I trade live Monday through Friday. Stop by. I'd love to have you. Peace.